Hello everyone, Quicksilver here, and welcome back to more Gnomoria. So when we left off, we built these guys a little stone cutter area, and oh wow, they're already spitting out a whole bunch of blocks. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to make our Stonemason, which is another stone-based workshop, and this is where we can turn our blocks into really useful items. We're going to need another workbench, chair, and chisel for this one. So go ahead and place that right over here, right next to the blocks. We can use this area for something else, I suppose, but I like to keep them really close to the resources. Okay, oh, this guy's asleep. Hopefully our woodcutter will come back and take care of the job. Although I do have trees assigned to him and he's probably asleep anyway. Alright, I guess we'll just kind of work on our mining for now. And we also need to give our... Actually, our farmers already have jobs to do, so... That's this guy. Oh, that's our rancher. Okay. Well, we're still not ready to build our bone carving station yet. There's still more we have to do. But for now, I suppose we'll do a little bit of mining to build up our stone reserves. Now, we just got to be careful to watch our depth. We don't want to hit a depth of... I think it's -7. I could be wrong. But... there's a certain depth where enemies will start showing up, and they can spawn anywhere by us if we don't have our caves lit. Which we can't do because we don't have access to coal yet, or anything. I mean, we could find coal, who knows? But we don't have any coal yet, so we can't make torches, so we can't light up these caves. So, if we get down to -7, 8, 9, whichever it is, I think it's 7. I'm going to play it safe and not go to depth 7. Things like skeletons and something else, I can't remember offhand, will start showing up. They'll start spawning right in front of your face, and then they'll kill your gnomes right off the bat. I was going to say beetles, but I don't think it's beetles. Beetles, I think, go deeper. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, they can just show up on those depths, right next to your gnomes, right when you least expect it. So we won't take that risk. Alright, so eventually I am going to want to build a workshop for food and drink. Especially for food, because I want to start making loaves of bread once the wheat starts being produced. And I'm going to want to make drinks out of all the strawberries we're harvesting. But we're going to need barrels and a table for the distillery, and I think the kitchen requires a knife, which we still cannot make. At least not yet. We're getting close to it, though. Yeah, we need a knife for that. We have our cotton farm set up here. It's still got to be tilled and have all the seeds planted. Alright, we have a lot of people idling here. What do we have? We have our builder, our chef. And we have another builder here. So let's take one of our builders and let's actually turn them into a farmer. Because I think farming is probably the most important thing we need to have done right now. So this one has a farming of 16, and this other guy has a farming of 11. So let's take this builder here and turn him into a farmer. And he'll go ahead and start taking care of that farm for us. Now the stats don't really matter in the way of planting. The seeds are going to get planted regardless. But I think the better their farming skill, the faster it gets done. But slow farming is better than no farming, I guess. We're going to go ahead and set a couple of these pine trees to be taken down so we can set up another farm right here, and this will be for the strawberries. We actually have oranges right here, so I could make an orange grove. I'm actually thinking about doing that. Let's cut some of these clippings here. Now, strawberries, oranges, apples, all those are ingredients for making wine. And you just need the fruit itself to make the wine. You don't need any other sort of resource. So I could set up an orange grove here for it to grow oranges, and we can use those oranges for making orange wine. And we don't have to cut down the trees or anything unless we want to use orange logs as a source for fuel. But no, I'm just going to use the oranges themselves as a source for wine. So we're going to go ahead and cut all those clippings. It'll also cut down some oranges, so now we'll have more food, because our food resources are getting a tiny bit low. And then right over here, once these trees are cut down, we will set up our grove. Okay, as you can see, our stockpile is getting a little piled up. So in order to fix that, we can take some of the crates that we have and place them down. The only thing is they're filled with food. So it's going to be a bit of a problem for us since we want to store the wood in it. So for right now, we'll just leave it be. But once we have our wood cutting station, well, our Carpenter Station is what it is, actually. We can start making more crates, and then we can place them down, and crates is sort of compressed storage for your items. Crates can hold up to 32 items. The bag here holds up to 32 as well, but it's mainly meant for seeds or clippings or other plant-like goods. And the barrel actually holds up to 64, but it's only for drinks. So we'll store all the wine in those barrels. How are our guys doing here? Should probably set up some more clippings here. We're going to want a good amount of them. Okay, as you can see, our stockpile is a little bit filled right now. So we're actually going to change this so it only crafts up to 49. So once that's completely filled, it's going to stop making blocks. There we go. And he's off to get some drinks. Okay, so I just now realized I thought this guy was busy making resources for this, but he's just been making the planks. I forgot to set the jobs here because I'm an idiot. So we're going to go ahead and set up a pine workbench and a pine chair. And we're also going to have our chisel, which we should have enough raw stone for. There we go. Oops. So yeah, hitting E actually hides hidden areas so you can see below on other layers, but it really slows down the game. So I just avoid using it altogether. So I'm going to check something quickly, because I just realized I built 9 beds without saving much of that straw. So let me go over here to plants and straw. So I have 8 straw left. Not entirely a big deal because I'm going to be chopping one of these guys in a minute anyway. Yes, I will be butchering one of them. So to make a tailoring station, you need a bone needle, and for that you need bones, which you can get from animals. And the wild animals are much too strong for my gnomes to fight, so I gotta kill one of these guys instead. But that's okay, because honestly, yaks aren't too helpful in my opinion. The first animal I want to try and get are alpacas, because they produce wool, which is much more superior to cotton. They can produce meat by, well, chopping them. Once my pastures are full, I can butcher them for meat, and they provide the same amount of meat, I believe, as yaks anyway. Yaks produce milk, which drinking it does not replenish their thirst as much as wine does. They prefer wine much more than milk. Milk can be processed into cheese, which is kind of a decent food, and it's used towards making omelets as well, which is also good. But I'm going to have these guys using the meat and the bread that they make from their little wheat farm here to make sandwiches, which is the best possible food for them. So I'm not really going to be using yaks at all. If anything, I'm going to set up a large alpaca farm and just farm that. And the wool will be helpful for making really nice quality bedding for the gnomes so that they sleep better. Okay, so now we have our stonemason, and the first thing we're going to build right away is a saw blade. Go ahead and make a saw blade with that. We're also going to make a chair and a workbench. So the chair will actually make out of stone as well, because we already have the stone prepared. We need the wood for making the workbench. And we will go ahead and build, let's see, workshop, wood, sawmill. Oh, any chair will do, but we need the pine workbench and any saw blade. And we'll just build it right here, right against the wall. I can take a nice drink of soda here. There we go. Okay, so our chair and the saw blade is created. So now we're just working on the workbench. Our farmer's back to work here. How are we doing over here? Okay, all these trees are taken care of. I'm going to check my stocks quickly. Just need to take a look and see how many clippings we have for oranges. So we're going to here for clippings. So we have 74 orange clippings. That's enough to make an 8x8 grove for oranges. So we just need these trees cut down. Let's see what my woodcutter's up to. Oh, that's right. He's busy planting the trees. I forgot that I set grove to be much more important. So we're going to go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to go ahead and set agriculture and mining to be more important. So once he's done planting that tree, he should get to cutting one of these pine trees. There we go. So that's why setting your job priority is so important. Alright, once this sawmill is done, we're actually going to destroy this workbench here and move our pine plank job over to the sawmill. Creating planks on a sawmill is much faster than it is on a crude workbench. In fact, any job is faster than on a crude workbench. Let's go ahead and get rid of that. And we'll get our log and stone back from that workbench once it's deconstructed. And the next thing we're going to want to make is the Carpenter Station. So any workbench, any chisel, any chair, not important. At least not right now. Could be important later on, but right now we just want that workbench. Actually, we're going to go ahead and cancel that. I want to build it much closer to my sawmill. Yeah, right up next to it will work. So we need a workbench, a chair, and a chisel. So this workbench will be the last job we use this crude workbench for. And we'll want a chair and a chisel. There we go. Alright, so now let's go ahead and check on that farm. Okay, so now they're working on the cotton farm. Very good. He's still cutting away at these trees. We're going to go ahead and cancel those jobs. So that way he can start working on these trees. Oh, we actually do have space up here. But that's okay. I want to keep it close to where my little entrance is here. Alright, let's go ahead and designate an area for a grove. We'll put it right over here. Actually, let's give it a space between the pasture. I'll just call it an orange farm. So here we're going to want to plant the saplings from the clippings we got. We do not want to fell the trees, and we don't need to cut any clippings. We just want to pick the fruit. So we're going to put orange trees there. And then soon enough we'll have our little tree farmer here off to grab the seeds, or the clippings, plant them into the grove, and then soon enough we will have a food farm for basic food. But if an emergency arises and we get low on food, we still have a bunch of trees here that we can still harvest from. Oh, we even have a whole bunch of apple trees over here too. Right over here, we got a whole ton of them. So worst case, we can always send our gnomes off to forage a bit. I'd send them off right now, but I want to keep my farmers focused on creating these farms. Okay, so we're supposed to have a workbench made. Oh, because I did not change my priority here. There we go. Okay, so how the priority system works is the gnomes will focus on job with higher priorities first before going to workbenches with lower priorities. And the closer that the priority number is to 1, the earlier that the gnome will do it. So gnomes will do priority 1 workstations first, then 2, then 3, so on and so forth. So I set my sawmill to 6. Reason being is because my other workbench is at 5, so I complete the 5 workbench before he works onto the 6. So it's a good way to organize your job. So it's actually helpful to build multiple of the same workbench and just have them on different priorities and sort your jobs that way as well. But for right now, we just need one of each because, you know, we're starting with the basics. Alright, we can go ahead and deconstruct this now. So now we're off our workbenches, our crude workbenches, that is. So now we can focus on more advanced building. So now I can go ahead and start work on a crafting area. That's it. We're going to do most of our crafting down here, I'd say. Alright. So this will be like my living area, and this will be the crafting area. So let's go ahead way downwards. And we're going to make our kitchen right about here. So that'll be our storage area for food. And we will have this here. Yeah, I'll just make it one big rectangle, I suppose. So one will be for food and the other will be for drink. I guess that would help. There we go. Alright, so go ahead and dig that out. Perfect. Okay. So first thing we're going to want to do, since we have some wood created, we're going to want to make some crates. Let's go ahead and make 2 of them. And in the meantime, this guy can start working on some knife blades. We'll make 2 of them for now. Now to make a knife we need a hilt, which we should also make here. So to make a hilt, we need a stick. So we can use 1 plank to make 2 sticks, with which we can make 2 hilts. Alright, let's go ahead and speed up time a little bit. Alright, let's see where... Alright, so we have our miners that need to work on the jobs here. They'll get on that as soon as they're done digging, I'm sure. Oh, we have our crates made. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and build storage crate. And we'll take our pine crates and place 2 just like so. And hopefully what they'll do is they'll take the empty crates and place them here. So that way we can store all of our logs in those crates, or whatever other wood items they want to shove into them. You can mix and match items in crates, but when it comes to barrels, you can only store one type of liquid in a barrel. So if I just start putting strawberry wine in a barrel, the rest of the barrel has to be filled with strawberry wine. But once it's completely empty, then you can put it in a different liquid. But you know, I'm sure it makes sense logistically anyway, just... Not logistically, like logically is what I mean. If you put one type of liquid in there, you can't exactly mix the other one. Unless you want some really funky tasting yak milk or something. Alright, so we have our hilts made, we have our knife made. Let's go ahead... Or knife blades anyway. Let's go ahead and make our knives. Alright, so we have this for our food, we have this for our drink. So what we're actually going to do is right here we'll make our butcher station. Let's go ahead and connect them like so. Go ahead and set up butcher shop. So any table, any chair, any knife. And we'll set it up kind of like all the way over here. And we're going to set up a stockpile to put right next to them. And this will be our body parts. So when an animal gets butchered, we're going to get, get bones, leather, and meat. So We're going to put all of our body parts here. Except prosthetics. I mean, that's not going to come into effect anytime soon, but we'll just go ahead and shove the other stuff in there. We're going to need our hides here. And we will need food. Where's food? There we go. And meat. So after butchering, everything will just show up here. I'll go ahead and build another workshop, and this will be our kitchen, which also takes a knife. And we'll just go ahead and drop it down right here. And we'll designate another stockpile. So this one is going to be a little weird. What I'm going to do is, right here, right off next to it, I'm going to make this the wheat grain pile. So that way we have easy access to the wheat grain for when we want to make food. When we want to make bread, anyway. Put all of our grain there. And then we'll put our food storage right behind them. There we go. All the food can go there. Except the meat. Because we want to keep the meat close to the butcher. Actually, no. The meat can stay here. The butcher pushes meat into this spot after chopping down an animal. And then the meat can be grabbed from the kitchen area over here to make sausages, which will end up in this area. But sausages, hopefully, we will turn into sandwiches before the gnomes can grab them. Alright. So now what we want to do is build another workshop. This will be for drink. So we just need a table and 2 barrels. And I'll just drop it down right over here. And this stockpile here will be for all the drinks. Yep, all the drinks can go there. Alright, so now we need 3 tables. We will need 2 chairs. And 2 knives, which are hopefully made. They are. Oh, another drink of soda there. And we can check on our tasks at any time. So we have the 3 tables made, we just need the chairs now. Now here's the thing with the gnomes. When they haul items, they're hauling items one at a time. So they're doing a lot of back and forth here. The only exception when they hold more than that is when they're picking up like dirt clump piles or stone piles. Then they can do multiple at a time. But what we need to do for these poor guys, because they're just going back and forth, we need to make them a wheelbarrow so they can take multiple items at once and move them about. So we're going to cancel these pine chair jobs and actually move them on over to our stone crafting area. We're going to go ahead and make 2 sticks. And then with those 2 sticks, we can make ourselves a wheelbarrow. I'm actually going to make another one. We're going to make 2 of them. There we go. And later, we're going to also want to make a... Actually, we can do it now. We're going to want to make a bucket so that we can carry multiple liquids at once. But we're not going to make much of use of it. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to go ahead and designate another stockpile. And this will be our tool storage. We can go ahead and keep all of our tools in there, but we'll also want to put... Oh, I'm looking for wood here. There we go. We're also going to want to put our wheelbarrows and buckets in that area. Okay, cotton is still being planted. So are orange trees. It probably would have been easier to just plant strawberries, but we'll keep the oranges. There we go, he's taking the sticks and the planks. And now we have a wheelbarrow. Oh, we actually had another wheelbarrow. There we go, so as you can see, he's using it to grab the items. Now if we just click on the miner over here and go into their equipment, they have the pine wheelbarrow, which has 29 items in it, and we can see all the items that they're carrying. And you can see how all these spots are now filled up with tasks. So once the person with the wheelbarrow comes in, right here, you'll see that they'll just unload it into the stockpile. And this space is going to fill up really quickly, so that's why we need to build more crates. But for right now, we do have our kitchen and butcher available. So we're going to go ahead and just butcher our yaks. Now, I find male yaks to show up somewhat more common than females do. I don't know why. Maybe it's just my luck. So we're going to butcher the male yak. Just so that way we're guaranteed a female yak. I don't know. That's just my luck anyway. We're going to leave all these... Actually, we're going to do automatically butcher corpses, because if we start fighting goblins, we can butcher them for their meat and turn them into sausages as well. Alright, so now our rancher will eventually go and round up that yak and chop into pieces. Now, right over here, I'm going to start setting up my crafting for food. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to have any kind of sausage be made repeatedly, and I'm going to have any kind of loaf of bread be made repeatedly. And we're going to want to make sandwiches as much as possible, and we're going to make that our top priority. Actually, we're going to make a couple other jobs here. We're going to make a sausage and a loaf of bread job, and craft to 1. And the reason why that's going to be important is because we're going to want those done before we can make our sandwiches. So the gnomes will try to do their jobs from top to bottom. If they can't do the first job, they'll move on to the second one if possible, then move on to the third, so on and so forth, until there's no jobs to do. So what I want them to do is prepare... Actually, sandwiches can be first. That way, if they make either the sausage or the loaf of bread, and they have one of the other, then they can make their sandwiches. And then, if they made all the possible sandwiches, and there's no more sausages or no more loaves of bread or whatever, they'll just repeatedly make whatever they're not missing, so that way they have a nice stockpile. And I think that'll work out.